And it is 5 o'clock. We'll call this meeting of Monday, October 19th, 2020 of the City Council work session to order. I guess our first thing would be the adoption of the agenda.
Move to adopt.
Second. Any discussion?
Mayor Allen, I wanted to add something to the agenda if I could.
I can't hear you.
I wanted to add something to the agenda if I could.
Which one's that?
Public comment.
No, I can't do that.
We can't add that to the agenda? Can you tell me why?
Yeah, because it's in our ordinance that we're going to have it once a month.
We can have it for discussion.
What?
It's just for
We
discussion.
can discuss it.
You want to discuss having?
Yes.
Okay, yes, we can do that.
Yeah, not an actual
Not
public.
actual public, I'm with you. I'm
Okay,
sorry, I
see, we're clear
misunderstood.
now. We're clear.
Yeah, all right. So we got a motion to add public comment period.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed likewise. We're going to add public comment period discussion.
Thank you.
And we're just going to put that under the new business B, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? All right, we need a motion to approve the agenda with the add.
So move.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
And he bids it, so, any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, so we got the agenda approved. Old business, there's not any new business. We'll start with the Christmas parade discussion. Tim, that's you?
Yes, sir. I'd like to bring Chief West and Kate Daniels from the Chamber of Commerce in. I'll talk about it, and then they'll be available to answer any questions. Good afternoon, everyone. You should have in your packages the agenda memorandum for the Christmas parade temporary street closing request. I'd like you to consider approving it. The annual Christmas parade is one of the many traditions helping to usher in the holiday season. The parade is organized, coordinated, and sponsored by the Wayne County Chamber of Commerce. The street closing request is for December 5th, 2020. It encompasses the parade route, which is south on Center Street, beginning at Ash Street, to Pine, and then north on Center Street back to Ash. The staging area will be on the north side of Ash, Oak Streets, Vine Street, Beach Street, and Center Street. The additional closures recommended by the police department will be for managing traffic flow from James to John Street and the streets in between. Parking restrictions will be no parallel parking on Center Street from Pine to Ash. Time requested is from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., with the actual parade starting at 4 p.m. and ending at approximately 7 p.m. The staff recommends approval for planning purposes subject to the following conditions, which I'd sent you before the weekend. So there was one ad I added today, which will make sure all activities are in compliance with the North Carolina Governor Executive Order. The current Executive Order 169 limits groups for parades up to 50 people. So hopefully we get better guidance on this going forward on Friday when we should have a new executive order. But I think you're going to want to have this parade in accordance with those executive orders during the state of emergency. So if there are any questions, the police chief is here to answer them as far as the parade routes or safety concerns. Kate Daniels, obviously from the Chamber of Commerce. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Kate, before?
No, just if it is the wish, sorry, thank you, sir. May I remove this?
Yes.
It's not as muffled, okay, thank you. We just come before you just to be the best community partners that we possibly can. And if it is your wish to move forward, we will work obviously with the city, with police. We have outlined some things that we think would need to be put in place if it is permitted to move forward during these uncharted times. And the next governor's announcement is the 23rd. And so, you know, he might totally tighten things up more, given some additional CDC discussions that have taken place. And so this is just for planning purposes, that if we are able to move forward, we can get some balls moving with that. And so we just appreciate your consideration, and any questions that y'all have, I'm happy to answer if I'm able to at this time.
My concern is the numbers are going up across the country concerning COVID-19, And I know how parades are normally, you know, everybody's packed up together from marching bands to people riding in cars together on floats. So those are some serious concerns. So how are we going to address that?
Sure, so I've got a cheat sheet, hold on right here. Thank you. And this is where it's going to become, more conversations will need to take place if it's able to move forward, because the question's going to become, how is this going to be enforced? And so some examples of these are, certainly we come out saying we will comply with the state of North Carolina public health orders and guidelines that are in effect at the time of the event, and knowing that they are subject to change and we might have to totally abort ship, so to speak, but ensure that 6 feet or more of physical distancing between all staff, volunteers, and participants. Parade staging area allows for each participant 6 feet of physical distance, except for those remaining in their vehicle or on float. All parade participants are encouraged to wear masks in staging and finishing areas. Participants should walk in formations that allow 6 feet, and I can keep going. We've got a multitude of things that would need to be able to be enforced to move forward. And I'll tell you, just for full disclosure, we have had conversations about, you know, how could we look at other things? So you'll see other communities are talking about a reverse parade. So what that means is your floats are stationary and citizens are literally driving through the parade. That's not feasible for our downtown setup and for safety reasons. There's other communities looking at virtual parades, but that's not as feasible. So just know that we are keeping our eyes and ears open to the best possibility to move forward. We've got it where if we move forward, there's no swag or flyers or promotional items can be distributed. Individuals on parade floats are encouraged to maintain social distancing. And then community notification, it's just like everything else the Chamber's doing and we're all trying to do is these hybrid opportunities. So we would certainly want to partner with our local TV station, run it on a Facebook page so that people can see it at home and we can encourage people to be able to stay at home and enjoy it. I know last year we had it on Channel 10 and on Facebook, and there were area retirement homes that kind of had shut-in parties, so they were able to celebrate the Christmas parade without physically being there. And some other guidelines that are in there, but the question's going to be the limiting the spectator and how to enforce that. So it's not a simple ask. I think tonight's ask, if I'm not overstepping in stating this, is just if we are within the realms of the governor's orders at the time, could we move forward with the planning in this direction, but knowing that it could change tomorrow?
I think you're, I mean, my only thing is, you said 60 people, 50, 60 people?
50 people in groups. So
Well, what's
the
I mean, how you
current
define
guidance
a
can be
group?
read different ways, as 50 total for a parade or 50 in different groups in different areas. To me, it makes sense. Hopefully, we get more guidance consistent with the types of things that are going on for athletic events. You can now have 100 people per athletic field, so you would think we could have 100 people in different areas, or at least maintain social distancing up and down the sides of the street for people who want to come. But it would probably certainly be a reduced crowd from what you're used to seeing that is packed in, and people have to make those judgment calls.
And I'm worried about it being a policing nightmare. I mean, if you got me right in the middle of 60 people, and I don't have a mask, or I don't do this, or how are you gonna come get me?
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't see the policing of it being very viable.
Right.
That's just my opinion.
So you have to rely on the honor, if you will, of the people attending, or you don't do it.
Rely on what?
The honor of people attending to follow the guidelines and rules as you set them out. If you don't think they can do that, then maybe you don't want to have the event.
Oh, and then that's my other thing is the problem with the parade is you gotta go now, or you gotta say no now, because people gotta get their floats ready. And that'll take another month, whatever it is to do it. They gotta get invitations out and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like we can wait till the last 2 or 3 days. I mean, I think you have to make the decision now. And to me, I don't think the governor's ever gonna do some stuff to make it a viable parade. If y'all don't agree, that's fine. But I don't see.
If I can interject, like you said, it's gonna take planning to get these floats. And to piggyback on what Councilman Williams said, the numbers are going up. So my recommendation would be to not break the spirits of the people in Goldsboro, is just plan to have it virtual. And just plan that option. I mean, the distance between the floats, the fire trucks, anything short of, like you said, a marching band, I mean, and they would be socially distanced even in the crowd, I mean, as they march or do whatever. But just plan to have it virtual and not even have the crowd on, the spectators physically on the sidewalks. Because like I said, it's going to be a nightmare to try to head count, and then people are popping up around the corner on John Street. And so if you just put it, I mean, I used to watch the Macy's Day Parade every year. It wasn't in New York, but got the same enjoyment out of watching it. So I think we can shoot for the virtual option. I mean, just to let people know, because I mean, this has been a terrible year, and I mean, we need to have something to kind of. That's just my opinion. So.
I mean, I don't think anything out of the virtual thing. Now, like you say, kids might, or people, but I don't think it's going to do you or I any good. But I mean, that was whatever the council wants to do.
Ms. Daniels, did you mention that it wasn't feasible, the virtual option?
No, that the reverse parade option
reverse,
was
okay.
not, and I don't want to overstep, but I think, NCDOT has to get involved. Our feeder streets just don't allow for it
Okay.
to be in downtown. Now, is there another opportunity somewhere else in the county? There may be, but to keep it in the heart of the city, downtown, it's not an option. And as far as the virtual, and keep in mind, the Goldsboro Christmas Parade last year had 205 entries. That is crazy. I mean, we are knocking on Raleigh's door with a Christmas parade. We have no idea how many would want to participate this year. We've not gauged that because I didn't want to, get ahead of that, not knowing if it was feasible to have one. We know those numbers will be way down, and they'll probably be more down if it's just a virtual option. But again, those are assumptions that I'm making, and I do not know for sure.
I mean, I like the virtual option, but I'm kind of on the fence. I don't know.
My other question would be for this, and this would be something that would have to be addressed with the Board of Education here. Will they be testing the band members to make sure, because they're going to have to be close together to make sure that everybody, that no one has COVID-19?
Well, and that's a good question, and we've not, again, we didn't want to get ahead of ourselves, even reached out to the schools. I don't know for sure if they're even practicing right now, and if they are playing instrument, I think they'd be out. But could I see if Drummers World was interested in participating? They could be masked. It's just an example of one entity that could.
I don't think that we're in a position as a nation, state, or city that we should be promoting that many people in one area. I don't care what the governor says, on Friday. I think that there be no in-person parade. It's going to have to be virtual or come up with another way. That's my opinion.
I'm inclined to not have a Christmas parade based on what's been said.
To not have it? Brandy, where are you at?
It's hard.
Well, it is hard, because this is our community, and it is hard. But
It is.
We know kids.
I can't say I'm fully against it, but I don't know how we can safely do it, even virtually, because I have to consider the participants. And then I have to consider the accommodations that a participant would have to make to change their float to make sure they can social distance on a float. I mean,
Maybe we could suggest just filming the last parade that we had and just having it, it viewed.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Paul, you got?
I go with the group. I mean, it seems like
Where are you?
I hate not to have a parade. I really hate not to have a parade. I just don't know how we can do it safely. If we could do it safely, I'd say do it, but the minute they get 2 or 3 blocks down the road, then there'll be everybody standing around the fountain. I just don't think we can police it. to
Right.
keep people. I hate to say that, but I just don't think we can do it safely.
All right, so what I've taken is a majority agrees we shouldn't have the parade. Did I get that right? All right, can somebody make a motion?
I make a motion that we not, in view of the COVID-19 pandemic and restrictions that is placed upon us and the potential of further problems associated with the pandemic, that we not have the 2020 Goldsboro Christmas Parade.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion?
Well, are you saying no parade at all? Because there was a virtual option that was thrown out there. Are we saying no virtual, no?
Well, I would say no virtual, no nothing, just let it go for the year, but that's just me. Y'all might not feel that way.
I think, you know, if they can come up with a way of working it, I don't have any problems with having a virtual parade, but, like I said, no in person. In other words, but here again too, if we do a virtual one, still you're gonna have a problem with the participants that are on floats and whatever, and
But you mentioned that the participants have guidelines that they have to follow. You've already outlined those, that they have to be social distance even in their participation, right?
Right, right.
This was kind of a dilemma we had. We tried to get ahead of it, at least wanted to know council's feelings on whether or not we need to move forward, whatever. It's definitely something that we can kind of modify as we go. The virtual would definitely be a little bit more, would be easier for us to handle as opposed to having citizens come out to watch it. So I think the virtual, the only thing that would concern me about the virtual is how many people would you want, would come out and want to be in the parade if it's just virtual. So I don't know. But again, we're willing to kind of move and modify and adjust as we go. We just kind of wanted to get before council before it was too late to say, what do you think as a group, and what do you think we need to do?
When's the governor, is it next Friday?
October 23rd,
This Friday.
this Friday.
So we can say no in person now, but can we modify it and see what happened on the 23rd?
Well, they wanted to bring it to this meeting for planning purposes, so.
Okay.
Because
I think
the more you wait, the harder it is on anybody trying to participate.
Yep.
So I would say you either need to cancel it or agree that it could be virtual based on what I'm
Well,
hearing.
right now you have a motion and a second to cancel.
To cancel.
Anybody got any more comments?
I just had a comment, like, if you guys did do virtual, my only concern is, you could do virtual and people still show up, and then what are you gonna do about it? So I think that we should go with what,
Even with the virtual, we still have to shut the streets down so we can keep people out. They would come up, we got to determine what. So you're right, but it would bring people out into a virtual setting.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
All right, all those in favor of canceling the parade, raise your right hand. Opposed, like one. Did you vote? I vote. Which way?
to not have the
Okay.
parade.
Well, did
And
she
my
get,
reason is because I just don't want people to get,
let's let Melissa get it back in here. 'Cause I
It
don't-
may be just a minute, I'm not sure what type of phone call she had to answer. So we had, was it 6152? 5252. Who was the, I saw the Todd was against Willis. Randy.
And I like your recommendation, Councilman Williams, to have last year's. We'll see if we can work with Channel 10 and have that, and we'll just hope that things start to come back to some sense of normalcy so we can bring this to the community in the future.
and for everyone out there, forgive me, I'm not the Scrooge. I'm just caring about the families. I'm caring about the families out there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
General question, has anyone heard anything about the Veterans Parade? I've
They
asked
canceled it.
twice today about
They've
that.
canceled it.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you
All
all
right,
so
thank
much.
y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, so next we have, we want to talk about the public comment period. You want to start that?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to bring this back before the council. I know when COVID hit, we had to make a decision, and that decision was to reduce the public comment to once a month. Being that we are in phase 3, and I know the governor is going to be making an announcement pretty soon here, but I wanted us, at that time when we made the decision to reduce it, we also said that we would bring it back up at a later date. So this is a later date. So I wanted us to consider to reinstate our public comment to twice a month. again.
Anybody else?
And I'm willing to put that in the form of a motion if I need to.
All right.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
Well, I know that the county goes to 4 minutes and once a month, and that seems to be working very well for them.
I think they're 3 minutes.
3 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
But that seems to be working well, and it seems to be working even better as long as we're in this building with once a month, so.
All right, we got a motion and a second to have, public comment twice a month or at both meetings.
And I'd like to add to it if I could. You know, if there's an increase in, you know, in the requirements for COVID, then I could understand us considering just once per month. But I'd like to go, I'd like to make the, you know, approve, you know, go with the motion to add the twice a month until otherwise.
All right. All those in favor of going to public comment twice a month, raise your right hand. Opposed? All right, the motion fails.
Okay, so I have another part of that discussion, seeing that that's what happened. I would like to kind of piggyback off what Councilman Broadway said. If we're not going to do it twice a month, then I do think we should consider increasing the time that they get to speak. I mean, I think it's in all fairness to our residents. It's, you know, if I have to work on a Monday and I can't get here to say something, then I have to wait a whole nother month, at least allow our residents more time to speak. And the recommended time that I would say is 5 minutes, 4 at the least.
I'll second
So
that.
I will make that a motion as well.
I'll second that.
What was your
The
motion?
motion is to increase the time for public comment. I say 5 minutes.
To 5 minutes. And you seconded it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'd like an addition, if we're going to 5 minutes, let us hold to the 30-minute total public comment period. Otherwise, we'll be here all night.
That means 6 people could speak. If you did that.
I think that would be infringing on our community's rights, their First Amendment rights. I don't think that we could do that legally.
Yeah, we can.
Mr. Attorney,
My understanding is you could limit the total amount of comment period itself to 30 minutes.
And as a matter of fact,
Whether
it's
it's 40 minutes or 45 minutes, whatever the council is going to determine, you can limit that. You have to have one, but you can limit how much each person can speak, and you can limit the total amount of time devoted to the comment period.
if I'm not mistaken, it's already in our ordinance.
That's
We
correct.
just haven't
You
enforced
currently
it.
limit it to 30 minutes.
What?
That is correct. You currently limit to 30 minutes.
Well, I mean, we can, there's not been too many times that I've seen more than about 6 people come up at a given time to speak, but if we're gonna give them more time, I think at some point we are gonna need to consider, we gotta be fair, we gotta be unbiased here. You know, we're already taking away one public comment, and then we're trying to not give them more time. And if we do give them more time, we're trying to put stipulations on the time still. So we need to look at this as a whole picture. If we're gonna give people more time to speak, then we have to consider increasing that 30 minutes, even if we do 40 minutes, even if we do 35 minutes. So we have to be fair in doing that. So I'm good with the amendment of the motion, Councilman Broadway, but I think we have to consider that too, about that 30 minutes, though. I don't think it's fair.
Well, we're adding a minute, let's go to 35 minutes. I don't have any problem with that.
I mean,
So, somebody would need to amend their motion.
can I get 40? Can we do 40?
35, but I'll talk to you later why. I'll tell you why.
What about the issue of the same person coming to every single public hearing and speaking about the same subject over and over again, which takes time from someone else who might want to come and speak on something for the first time? That's
To
something
me,
should be considered.
it'd be reasonable, you might not agree, but a person can come once a month. Okay?
That's in the policy anyway.
That's what happens now. That's our rule.
But never mind, that's not gonna work because we're only gonna have it once a month. So I'm sorry. I was thinking if you went back to twice.
Sir.
So it's been a minute.
So the motion is to increase the time to 5 minutes on a 35-minute public comment period.
Second.
All right. Anybody have any more comments or discussion?
I would just add, so does that 35 minutes encompass any questions and answers?
No.
That's just getting too
Well,
involved, I
what you
believe.
have in here says the total public comment period will not exceed 30 minutes at any regular scheduled council meeting.
Yeah, we just changed that, though.
Well, that's
Well,
what I'm
yeah,
trying to
but-
determine. You said 35 minutes, but is that 7 periods of 5 minutes, or is it 35 minutes total?
She
So
said
in
4
other words,
minutes.
if you ask
She said-
questions and carry on for another 5 minutes for each
No,
speaker.
7 periods of 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, but so let me give you an example really quick, and thank you for working with me on this. So if I'm up there speaking, for example, and we've reached that 35-minute mark, are you going to tell me that my time is up, even though I have 3 minutes? I mean, even though I have my timer, right? And let's say we have a timekeeper in here watching that 35-minute, and we've hit that 35-minute mark, and I'm in the middle of my public comment, are you going to tell me to stop talking?
I would not. I mean, if you're at...
Yeah, so that's what I'm
If
saying.
all of a sudden it's 37 minutes, and you got 2 minutes or whatever, yes, I would say you can finish. Yeah.
What has happened in the past is that we've had 1 or 2 people come up and take 10 minutes while we've got 6 people sitting outside there that don't get any.
Yeah. And I
most of the
understand
time-
that.
And we've taken an hour and a half in public comment before. And believe me, a lot of times it's the same thing over and over and over again. So that's the best reason to limit it, not to keep people from saying what they want to say.
Right.
But it's the same people saying the same thing,
Okay.
and I've seen it for 10 years. And that's why I'm saying, if it's that big an issue, then let's get to their representatives and bring it up as an agenda item. That's, to me, is the solution. If it's going to take over 5 minutes, then let's get it as an agenda item and let the representative take it over rather than public comment.
I respect your opinion. What I'm saying is, if a resident is speaking and I have a question, I don't want to feel like I can't ask my question. Now, what I will do is be considerate, and I think all of us should be considerate of that if it's that big of an issue, but I don't,
Well, we can have this understanding, we can try.
yeah.
If decide it doesn't work, we can regroup. I mean, if everybody's okay with that.
That's fine with me. I'll go with it.
Are we voting?
Can you reword can you make your motion a little clearer? 'Cause I'm not sure if the clerk's got it clear. I don't have it clear. I would just suggest that you just verbalize your motion in a way that says each speaker has up to 5 minutes.
Right.
With a total comment period of
Of
35 minutes. Because then you could have, you said 7, 5 each for 35. That could be confusing to people. Because you might have 10 people come in and speak for a minute each.
Yeah,
Okay? You still
Yeah,
have your 35 minutes left. So that way you're not limiting the number of people that can speak.
All right, so you can
That's what
speak
I
for
mean.
5 minutes, and then you can speak for 35 minutes total.
With total comment period of 35 minutes, up to 5 minutes per
You
speaker.
gonna fix that?
Okay, so the motion is that someone coming to speak for public comment can speak for up to 5 minutes
Right.
within a 35-minute public comment period.
I think.
Is that correct?
Who was your second? You?
I second.
Okay. All right, everybody good? Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Opposed, likewise. Motion carries. Okay?
Okay, there was one more, last part of this, Mayor.
Huh?
This is the last part of the public comment discussion.
You didn't tell me there were two parts.
Oh, we got 3 today. Thank you. Before the last public comment, I can't remember if it was the city manager that sent out our public comment policy, so I don't want to say that it was him, but I received the email what that looks like. Last time we had someone that violated that policy, so I want us to make sure that if we're enforcing the rules and our policies are written, that we enforce them across the board. So that was the other part of that. So I hope that we can all familiarize ourselves with what that policy is, because we're changing it now, but we need to be mindful of that to hold our residents accountable as well.
You mind sharing what they did, what the violation was?
It was number 7, and it was discussing personal issues where law enforcement, judicial was involved. That's not what we're supposed to discuss when we come to the podium.
Oh, yeah, does anybody know?
I mean, we don't have to discuss it now, I'm just making a general statement that we need
Well,
to
that's
make
what, I
sure.
mean, I didn't know we did that, so I
Yeah.
want to know, that's what I'm
It's
trying
okay.
to get
I just wanted us to be aware of that. Thank you for your time.
at. Are you done?
I am done.
Okay. You sure?
I'm positive.
All right. You want to, I guess, Tim, we got two choices. We can either move right on to consent agenda, or we can do your discussion. Go in closed session and do your discussion.
I would do the consent agenda item and the downtown lights up, if you
Okay.
don't mind, and then you can go to the closed session personnel
right.
issues.
Well, let's get them going.
Okay?
Chief West, whoever's doing the police.
Good evening again, Mayor and council members. Item H on the consent agenda is the U.S. Department of Justice Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant, known as the JAG Grant. The Goldsboro Police Department has been awarded the federal grant funds from the 2020 Edward Burns Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. On September 8, 2020, council adopted a resolution allowing the Goldsboro Police Department to apply for this grant. This grant was awarded on September 19th of 2020. The grant was approved for the Goldsboro Police Department to purchase crowd control protective equipment in the amount of $20,859.60 in the event of a mass gathering involving actual or potential violence that threatened officer safety. And the Wayne County Sheriff's Office was approved to purchase a vehicle in the amount of $13,906.40. It is recommended that the attached resolution be adopted authorizing the Goldsboro Police Department and the Goldsboro City Manager to accept an award for the 2020 JAG funds in the amount of $34,766 and authorize city officials to execute documents required for the award. Are there any questions?
I don't think so. Thanks, Chief. Next, Catherine. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good evening. My first item is to amend the Special Revenue Fund ordinance for the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. Chief West just spoke to you about the resolution to approve that award. This is for the 2020 Justice Assistance Grant in the amount of $34,766. This will be split between the City of Goldsboro and the Wayne County Sheriff's Office in accordance with the memo of understanding. There is no local match required, and we are recommending tonight that the attached Special Revenue Fund ordinance be amended for the $34,766 for the 2020 JAG grant.
Any questions? All right.
My next item is to amend the contract for the audit services for fiscal year ending June 30, 2019. The city changed its auditors in FY19 from Carr, Riggs & Ingram to Dixon, Hughes, Goodman, LLP. First time that had been done in about 22 years. We have been working very hard with the auditors and have had multiple challenges that we have worked through. Our auditors have requested additional time and fees in order to complete the audit with an expected completion date of November 30th. I am requesting an extension until December 31, because if you miss this by one day, you still have to come back and get the board to pass another resolution, even if it's just one day. So just to be on the safe side, and the fact that we're having to deal with the holidays and with the COVID-19, I would just suggest let's do December 31 to be on the safe side. And the agreed cost of the service change was from $65,000 to $102,000. And so tonight we're asking the council approve the attached resolution to amend the contract for the auditing services for fiscal year ending June 30, 19 with Dixon, Hughes, Goodman, with a proposed completion date of December 31, 2020 at a sum of $102,000.
Any questions?
I have one question. Have we cleared this with local government commission?
They will not do it until the board passes the resolution. Once they pass the resolution, we'll ask the mayor to sign the contract amendment, then it'll go to the LGC for approval.
So that's the way that goes.
Yes, sir, that
But we
is.
do have to get their concurrence. to
Yes,
do
sir,
it.
we have to get their approval
Okay.
to do that, yes, sir.
All right, next.
My next item is a declaration of intent to reimburse expenditures for the FY 2021 capital outlay. At the September 9, 2019 council meeting, the council approved a resolution authorizing the city manager or the finance director to declare the city's official intent to reimburse expenditures with the proceeds of debt to be incurred by the city within 60 days of payment of the expenditures. This is in accordance with U.S. Treasury Regulations 1.150.2. And in accordance with the annual budget ordinance adopted on June 17, 2020, the city anticipates incurring expenditures prior with the issue of city tax-exempt obligations in the amount of $1,152,930. So all of these items that are on this list were items that the council approved to be purchased in fiscal year 2021. And at this time, it is the city's intent that we will finance these items in accordance with 160A-20, and we will issue an RFP for proposals for the installment financing contract with banking institutions in the coming months. We would anticipate closing the loan prior to June of 2021, with the first payment due in fiscal year 2022. And so tonight we are asking, just for your information only, there's no approval action that is needed since the board passed the resolution to allow the city manager or the finance director to declare that intent. So this is just FYI for council.
Any questions? All right, item L.
My last item is establishing a grant project fund ordinance, the Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security CARES Act for miscellaneous grants special revenue fund. The council adopted a resolution on October 5th, 2020 to accept an award from the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina as a sub-recipient of CARES Act funding in the amount of $15,000 to help promote visitor economy in the Goldsboro, Wayne County area. The period of performance is March 1 of 2020 through December 30th of 2020. The grant will be managed by Ashlyn Glather, our Travel and Tourism Director. There is no match required for the grant, and we are required by the grant funding agreement that we signed to establish a special revenue fund. This is separate from the other special revenue fund that the council adopted several weeks ago for the county CARES Act funding. This will handle miscellaneous grants. And then I will be back in 2 weeks to also ask for the recreation grant that Ms. Felicia Brown received. We received notification of that late last week, and we'll be amending this fund to add that funding in there for her as well. But tonight, what I'm asking is that the attached grant project ordinance be adopted in the amount of $15,000.
Any questions? All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Captain, I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Not related to this specifically, but to the response that I got from my email asking about the current status of allocations of the CARES funding. I noticed that you have moved $196,000 into your department in finance for payroll expenses. What do you anticipate that money being used for?
So that funding can fund the public safety, police, and fire time that we have paid. That is a presumption of the CARES Act funding. And so I established that one specific line item so that we can recoup those funds back from the general fund. So it's not that finance is spending it, it's just under our control though, but that's...
Just hold it, but yeah.
And the manager may want to add something to that as well.
Yeah, there may be some additional expenses for overtime related to the safety department personnel that weren't exactly budgeted to the degree requested, so I think we have a bill there we need to pay. But any additional funds can be paying for those personnel.
Pretty much focused in the police and fire
Yes,
department,
sir.
Paulina?
Specifically.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Kathy. Next, you have departmental reports, item M. Anybody got any questions or thoughts on that? All right. That completes the consent agenda.
Yep. We can do items requiring individual action. I have Aaron standing by.
Well, you don't, I mean, you gotta do that in the regular meeting.
Got to wait for that.
Yeah, I just wait till the regular meeting to do that.
Okay.
I mean, that's my opinion. Is that right, Ron?
Yeah, that's my understanding, right? And if she's going to have a presentation, obviously she's going to have some of the same questions you just discussed with Kate and Chief West, if that's going to be the downtown lights up, talking about gatherings of people.
Well, no, I'm talking about, no, he's talking about item,
And
N.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about a different thing. Well, I don't know, can we do that now?
I think you can review it now.
But you're gonna have to vote on it.
Just officially take your vote.
But we can't vote on it until we're in session.
Correct.
So it must just wait. Yeah, let's just wait.
Aaron standing by.
Who?
I have Aaron standing by from Downtown Department. She can-
Aaron?
Aaron.
Well,
One
then,
second.
all right, that's fine.
Would like to review it and then vote on it later. Be okay?
That's fine.
This is obviously along the same lines as the parade, only different. We would expect a smaller crowd and a more specific area for different things, from the flipping of the switch to the trolley rides at 3 different locations to a movie or a reading of A Christmas Carol down at the hub. So I think you can have smaller groups depending on what the most recent North Carolina Governor Executive Order guidance is on groups of 50 or 100 outdoors or whatever. So what we have here is a similar street closure request to make that happen on Center Street from 5 to 9 p.m. on November 24th, and trolleys will ride from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. with the flipping of the switch at 5:30. Similar requirements in support of the event, and we would make sure it's in accordance with the North Carolina Governor Executive Orders. If there's any questions for Aaron, who's planned it?
One question I need you to answer for us is, previous ones have been back-to-back, wall-to-wall people.
Right.
How are we gonna stop that?
So our goal is to discourage large crowds as much as possible, and we're doing that by taking out the entertainment aspect, so we won't have the community groups doing entertainment. We won't have vendors. We won't have the gathering on the steps where we do the countdown and we flip the switch. Instead, we're opting for an announced flipping of the switch where we put the time out in advance. We have a virtual option of attending, so anybody can watch it wherever they are. And then we'll go over the speakers downtown and do our countdown, so wherever you are, you can join in the countdown and watch the lights come on. And everyone can kind of gauge their own comfort level and choose to join virtually or choose to attend. And I think the biggest difference is that everything is done in repetition. So instead of having 3 trolleys, we'll have 6 trolleys. Instead of 1 trolley stop, we'll have 3 trolley stops. So we'll be able to kind of distance the lines out along Center Street. And then the movie will show 4 different times, so we can circulate the crowd that way. And then we'll have 2 live readings of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. So, a family can sit and watch, and then they can rotate out, or a group of families, I should say. So that's the biggest difference, is just the repetition in what we're doing.
Aaron, what was your estimate of last year's attendance to this event? It's a pretty big attendance, isn't it?
It's a big crowd, yes. Typically, it's about 5,000 people.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's going to be very different. There won't be nearly as many attractions as we typically have. So, I see it as now it's a Tuesday night, but I see it as, Friday or Saturday night downtown, where you will have families out and about going to restaurants and dining, and then we'll add some festivities to that. Our goal is to make this a fun and festive event while being mindful of the family safety.
I'm sorry, go ahead with your presentation.
Oh, that's basically.
Can you do it, there'll be no donut booths, there'll be no booths where people line up? I guess
Correct.
that's my question. The face painting booths
Right.
and the donut booths and all that goes away, right?
Correct, and that's where we typically have our large crowd, is right there at City Hall. In fact, we're not even proposing closing that area on Center Street. So we're doing away with all of the vendors and anything that would create a line, with the exception of the trolleys. But the way that we're trying to get away from, the line backing up is by having 3 different stops, and then at each stop you have 2 trolleys going. Each trolley ride is about 5 minutes. We know that each rig can hold either 6 couples or 2 or 3 families.
So even on the rig, they'll be spaced out, and then in the line, we can space them out. Of course, we can encourage mask wearing, we can have hand sanitizer available, we can temp check our volunteers, so there are a lot of safety measures that we can put in place. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
This doesn't relate to the downtown. Where do we stand as far as our entry with HDTV? I'm a big HDTV fan with the historic. Have we heard anything back?
That's a great question. We didn't make it. We didn't win.
We didn't?
No, can you believe it? I'm shocked. No, there was a community fairly close to where they film. I don't know if it's in Alabama or Mississippi, but they chose a community down there. But we can still share that video as much as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we'd like to see a diagram here, and or kind of what you...
I don't have it on a slide, but it was in the packets, I
It's in,
believe.
It's in there, okay. I didn't see it. It's in-
Yep, so the layout, of
You're
course,
right.
we're not closing Center Street from Ash to Mulberry.
I got
but okay, you got it?
I got it.
Got it. All right, good.
All right, any more questions for Aaron? Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe they'll give you a favorable vote.
Do what?
Maybe they will give you a favorable vote
I'll be
later
listening.
tonight.
I'll be listening. Thank you.
All right. I think the next thing would be to go into closed session and discuss the city manager.
Personnel.
Personnel, I'm sorry. Somebody make a motion?
Motion to go into closed session for personnel discussion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. We're in closed session.